Hey guys, welcome to the Work the Web interview series where I shine the light on different strategies that you can use to help grow your business online in a way that makes sense for you. So there isn't really one right way to take advantage of the online world. So I'm interviewing over 11 experts that each focus on one thing, and that one thing helped them grow their business in ways that they couldn't even imagine. So today I'm here with our special guest, Krista from Summit in a Box, and we're going to be talking all about how creating an online summit can help you grow your business online. But before we get into that, let me just introduce myself really quick in case you're new around here. I'm Mariah, a website strategist over at mariahmagazine.com, where I work with online business owners to help them get more website traffic and increase their SEO by creating a website strategy that's unique to their business goals and their ideal audience. So Krista, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Krista over at Summit in a Box, and I help online business owners launch profitable and just influential online summits that just grow their businesses in ways they couldn't imagine. And these aren't gross, sleazy, marketing-heavy summits. These are really community-based, and they're just so amazing. And I'm excited to talk to everybody about it today.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's such an important differentiation factor. Is like, these aren't like, hey, go buy my stuff. Like, I'm doing these just to take your money. These are essentially like, hey, I have so many cool things that I want to teach you, and I have speakers that have so many cool things and strategies. It's like they're really created to help people.
Exactly. Yeah. And there is really such a difference. Like, I feel like it's hard to know when you're signing up for a summit, which kind you're signing up for. And I mean, I think the registration page usually gives a decent idea, but I have been to both. The first two summits I attended, I was like, this is disgusting. I remember like talking to my mastermind buddies, like, never ever doing a summit. I hope these don't take off at all. And now it's really
like left like a bad taste in your mouth.
Exactly.
Like, ew.
Yeah.
No.
Yep, and there's just a different way that you could do it that does not leave all those nasty feelings like you're being taken advantage of. So
yeah, which is so important. So I'm excited to dive into that. But let's kind of like talk about you first, and like, so how did you get started in the online business world?
Yeah, so I feel like my journey is probably similar to a lot of people's. I was working a corporate job doing software and web development, and it got to be a really toxic environment for me. And luckily, I had, I don't know, Pinterest. I blame Pinterest. I was always on there, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, well, if these people can write a blog, I can write a blog. So I started this silly blog, and it changed like monthly. I did something new. But eventually, I got to where I was like, oh, well, I'm doing development in my corporate job. It looks like I can do that online too. So I started doing design and development really quickly, just transferred to design, or development, not design, suck at design, and did that. I've been doing that part of it for 4 years, about 4 years now. And, you know, it just grew and evolved. And I think we'll probably get into this more, but 3-ish years in, I decided that a summit was right for me, and I went ahead and I launched my first summit and made that sound way easier than it is. I
woke up one day and I was like, what's up, summit?
Right, exactly how it went down. But anyways, afterwards, I had, like, my inbox was flooded with my speakers and attendees, like, how did you do this? Teach me how to do this. And at first I was like, no way. And here I am now teaching people how to do summits in the way that feels good to me and has felt good to a lot of people so far. And yeah, I'm excited. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, so that's really awesome. So it's like you didn't even kind of plan this trajectory. It was more so like you had a problem, which was working in a toxic environment. And you're like, how can I use these skills that I have now to be able to set myself up that in an environment that isn't toxic, and which just so happens to be at your house, which is really, really awesome, being an online business owner. So that's always great. And then, how long have you been in business? You said, was it 4 years altogether?
Yeah, this year will be 4 years.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, I think that you started like a little bit before I did. I feel like we were on like the online scope around the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
Really cool. Has it always been like smooth sailing with growing your business, or did you run into like some hiccups, some problems, some growing pains?
Yeah. Oh man, definitely not smooth sailing. Like I feel like I can look back and like in the moment too, it feels like you're just boom, boom, going here. And it's cool to be able to look back and be like, oh, like I was getting to right where I wanted to be. But I
But
think,
you only realize that when like you're not going through
yeah.
it and like you can look back and see it. It's kind of like that, what is that? I've seen it on Instagram a lot. It's like the mind of an entrepreneur, and it's like you're what you think it's gonna be, and then it's really like bing, 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 bing,
Right.
bing, 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 bing. Yeah, that's essentially usually how it goes, right?
Yes, exactly. And I think one of my biggest problems when I was first starting was like trying to do everything. And that's why I love this series you're doing so much, showing people some of the bigger things you can do, but you obviously don't have to do it all because we're not all doing it all. But that was one of the things I struggled with when I was first starting out is I was doing literally everything. If there was an expert saying you had to do it, I was doing it. And that was a huge, huge struggle. Early 2017 is when I finally ditched all that and really started simplifying. And seriously, like you can see my income start growing after I started ditching all of these extra things, which is exactly the opposite of what I expected.
Yeah, and it's like horrifying kind of to be like, wait, but everybody says that like I absolutely have to focus on this, and then if I cut it out, my business is going to crumble to the ground, and I'm going to have to go and work for somebody else now.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what our mind tricks us.
Yep.
But really, what I've realized putting together the idea for the interview series and talking to these experts is like, we don't do everything. And that's why our businesses are as successful as they are, because we find out not only what we're good at, but it's like what solves our audience's pain points and how. I feel like that how is like the main thing. Like, how do we get this information across in a way that we are passionate about and that helps them? And there's so many different ways to do that you don't need to do all of them, because then you're stretching yourself too thin.
Right. Yeah. And you're using your energy in ways that you just aren't able to do things effectively. And I think it's such a good thing that we can like pick and choose like, oh, this really aligns with my strengths and my personality. I can ditch this other, thing that it could be good, but maybe not for me. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's a super powerful mindset once you push all of those doubts over to the side.
For sure.
So how did you come up with the idea to host a virtual summit? Like there's so many ways, like we just talked about, to grow a business. Like how were you like, online virtual summit, that's it, that's for me?
Yeah. So at that point, this was probably mid 2017, maybe a little later, but I really felt like I'd hit a plateau. Like my email list was growing by like 1 or 2 people a day, but then I'd send my weekly newsletter and it would drop by like 7 to 10. So literally like my email list was a straight line. I was getting clients for my custom packages, as I needed them, but I wasn't booked way far in advance. I had retainer spots to fill. My income was consistent, but it wasn't going anywhere. And like I positioned myself as a leader for my audience, but my audience wasn't growing. It was the same people. So I really just felt stuck, and I knew I needed to do something that was going to get me visible. So that was what I was looking for. Like, how can I get more visible? And a summit is something that had been on and off in my mind for a while, but I'd really never let myself like really think about it. It's like, you can't host a summit, like next idea. Like it was like a fleeting thought several times. And I finally let myself think on it a little more. And I was in like an accelerator program with a coach and told her about it. I was like, I don't think I can really do it though. And she's like, yeah, you're doing it. So I did it.
Like, oh God, why did I even bring this up?
Yeah, that was my bad. But
let's erase this entire conversation. Let's move on to email marketing. So.
Right. Yeah. What can I send tomorrow? Yeah. But yeah, like I said, like we were talking about earlier, I'd seen so many like gross, sleazy ones in the past. I didn't want people to like look at my brand that way or look at me that way. And the imposter syndrome was crazy. I was like, what are people going to think if they see me launching a summit? They're going to be like, who does she think she is? Or when I reach out to speakers, are they going to be like, get lost? Like, who even are you? And I was just
so hilarious. Like, it's not hilarious. It's like sad, but it's kind of hilarious. Like when we take a look back and we're like, we really thought those things, because like as business owners, I get people that reach out to me, hey, can you speak at my summit? Like I'm doing this summit, or just like different opportunities. And I never once have thought anything like that about literally anybody else on the internet.
That's a good point.
So it's hilarious that like we think that about ourselves, even though we know what we're doing because we do it.
Right.
It's just, it's funny when you like can take a step back and look, like think about it and be like, why would I even think that?
Yeah, it is a really good point. Yeah, and I can see that now. Like all the people I was scared to reach out to, and even that first summit, there were people I did not reach out to speak, and I did this year. And like all of them said yes. It's like, what is the big deal? So yeah, imposter syndrome is a big deal, but it just shouldn't be.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a really good point. So like, anybody watching, if you're thinking about starting a virtual summit and you're having these same thoughts and these same doubts in your head, just do it. Push yourself out of your comfort zone, because honestly, what's the worst that somebody's going to say? No. And then you're like, cool, I'll find somebody else. Right. No big deal. Have a great day, Sophia. Chat with you later. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be this like big, awful thing.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about hosting the like virtual summits or online summits?
I thought it would be like, growing my email list by a whole bunch or making money. I wasn't sure if I was going to make any money the first time, but I was like, if I do make money, that will be really awesome. But it was something I totally didn't expect. And that was just like the excitement and like passion of the attendees and how much of a literal difference it made during their businesses during that week it was live. Like I did not expect, and still every time I do a summit, it surprises me how much of a difference I'm making for hundreds and thousands of people by this thing that I'm putting together. It's like, I have never experienced impacting somebody that much.
Yeah.
And to see on a big scale, it's just incredible. And it's like addicting. And that's totally my favorite part. I don't care how much, it's nice to make money, but like, I don't even care about that. It's that the difference I'm making and the excitement of everyone just outweighs it all.
Yeah. It's like you get to share your passions with so many other people. And then you have these speakers that obviously all have a common theme with them. So they're passionate. It's like it all just snowball effects. Yes. And the attendees, they can feel that energy in a video or in like a presentation in a workshop. Like they can feel when somebody's super stoked about something.
Yes. Yeah, so, it all carries over and just builds on each other, and just how pumped everyone is just incredible.
This makes me want to like go and launch one tomorrow. So I might be in contact with you soon. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting myself like super amped up about this. Okay, so what is like the biggest misconception people have maybe about hosting summits?
I think one that I hear the most is that you have to have a big audience or a big email list to do it. And that is so not true. My first summit, I had 500 people on my email list, less than 1,000 people on Instagram, and I made $16,000.
Wait, hold from $16,000?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
From an email list of 500 people. Even if you have 100 people and you get, 1/5 of that, that's decent, and how much you grow your email list, then everyone just builds on the one before. You don't need any email list to have an online summit. That's what your speakers are for, the amount of promotion you're doing is like, say you have 20 speakers, the amount of promotion you're doing is, I guess, 1/21st, of all of the promotion. So it doesn't matter what your list size is, what your audience size is. Of course you want to be, you want to have kind of an expert positioning in your business. Like you want to have positioned yourself as a leader, but you don't have to have an audience or a list to have a really amazing summit.
Wow. That number is that's insane. Like if that's not motivating.
Yeah, that was my first one.
You know what I mean? So, and your first one, and that's just, I don't know, you never really hear too many people talking about how many people are on their email list. I feel like that's a metric that a lot of people like to keep really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the fact that you're literally like, listen, I had 500 people. And like in the online business world, that's not a lot of people.
Nothing, yeah.
Like some people won't even allow you to speak at their summit unless you have 5,000 people on your email list.
Yeah, don't even get me started.
That's not the kind of summit that we are talking about. But like that's a real metric that people kind of gauge their business success on. So the fact that you made such a decent amount of money, and I say decent very lightly, from like such a small number of people on an email is just, makes it so obvious that like this could be the right way for a lot of people to grow their business.
Yep.
If you think about it, like you said with the promotion and everything, the cool thing is that they're all promoting to their audience, which is then getting people on your email list and growing your audience all about the topic that you care about, because this entire summit is about the topic that you care about. I know. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just, it's such a powerful tool to be able to use and to reach so many people.
Yeah.
So if we have viewers watching and they were thinking about putting together a virtual summit, what's the very, very first thing that they should do?
To be honest, a reality check. It is a really big commitment for several months. Summits are not for everybody. So a reality check to make sure you can commit a lot of time every month for several months. And also
what would be like a lot of time? Like, let's say like weekly, how much time should I expect to put aside?
You know, the first 30 days and then like the last 30 days when you're promoting and launching are the most intense. And I'm trying to, it depends on the platform you use, your tech comfort level, stuff like that. I want to say I probably did 2 to 3 hours a day every day. You know, and maybe not every day for 30 days, but it's like you need to have time set aside. You need to, you know, maybe not take on that extra client project that month, and you need space to work on this.
Yeah, and then also like self-care time so that you literally don't like lose your sanity.
Yeah, there's that too.
Okay, yeah, I mean, a reality check, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's like we've been talking about, you know, the super awesome parts about virtual summits, but like with those rewards comes the work that you have to put in, and this isn't something that you could just skate by.
Yeah, it's not a get rich quick type thing. It takes work. It takes at least 90 days, and it takes commitment during those 90 days. And there's going to be highs and lows, and you need to make sure that you're in it for the right reasons, that you can break through those low points, because there are I have them every single summit. There are like low points that I know are coming, and you need to have the energy and the drive and the discipline to break through those during that entire period.
Not to scare anybody off in the least bit.
I mean, if someone isn't cut out for it, I would much rather scare them away now than have them get like, you know, a month out from their summit and be like, oh, dang, you know? It's for sure. Really, really fun, but it's a lot of work.
Okay. Yeah, that's something to definitely keep in mind. What's the biggest issue that you've run into with your summits, or even, because I know that you work with people planning their, like helping them plan their summits. So like, biggest overall issue?
So this isn't one that I experience. I'm most like a planning nerd. Before I hosted my first summit, I had like hundreds of tasks mapped out in Asana. I was ready to go. So like the biggest problem I see most people have is not having that, just being like, oh, I'm going to host a summit. Let's go. And like not making a plan.
That literally sounds like exactly what I would do. I'd be like, listen, I'm just going to send out some pitches. We're going to get some people. I'm gonna wing this. Like that would literally be my thought process.
Oh, it gives me anxiety. I mean, maybe you can pull it off. I feel like I can tell though.
No, don't give me any push in the wrong direction. Like I would need to sit down and organize.
Yeah, I feel like you can tell though, like especially if you're a speaker at a summit for someone who's just throwing it together, you can tell. And that's something a lot of my speakers told me last round, is there was another summit going on at a similar time and some of them were in both, and they're like, I'm never doing another summit again unless it's put on by you, because like this is such a disaster. So that's, you know, just having a process is so important, and not having that is just the biggest downfall, because it's constantly going to be, oh crap, I need to go do this. Oh shoot, I forgot about this entire aspect that's really important, and that adds 20 new tasks to my list, you know. So having a solid plan just saves all of that.
Okay, so mental note to not try to launch a summit like next week. Got it.
Yes. You got it.
Okay, so for either your summits or for your client summits, which software or platforms do you guys typically use? I know that there's maybe a few that are floating around.
Yeah, so I always use WordPress. I'm a developer. I love tech stuff. I love the power of WordPress. I always use WordPress. If someone else is tech savvy, already has a site set up, I would recommend it. someone who isn't tech savvy and does not want to get tech help, Hey Summit is a really great option. They're a little bit newer, but they already have so many amazing capabilities, and they're always adding new ones. And all the hard work is done for you. They have the platform, they have all the functionalities you need, lots of help for managing your speakers, and stuff like that. So I haven't used it myself yet, but I am launching this big Summit in a Box program, and I am going to have tutorials for both WordPress and Hey Summit, just because it is such a great option for people who don't want to have to dig into tech too much.
Yeah, so I'll leave the link to the Hey Summit platform that she's talking about in the description. When you talk about WordPress, like what do you, I have a WordPress site, I'm tech savvy, but let's say that other viewers watching, they're thinking about using WordPress. What is there certain plugins that you go ahead and you integrate with it? What's like kind of like the overall like bird's eye view maybe?
Yeah. So talking just about the summit itself and not if you're selling something through it, that part is pretty basic. Just the summit setup itself, you might want like a page builder. So I use Beaver Builder because it's so easy to make my registration page and thank you page and all the speaker pages. Super easy. You also want a plugin that lets you set pages to expire after a certain amount of time. I think the plugin I use is called like expiration and redirect or something like that. I can send you a link afterwards if you want.
I would love to have the link in the
resources. So you usually have your presentations live for like 24 hours. That will like expire and redirect them for you, so you don't have to be sitting there and like, okay, this one's done. You also want a chat plugin. I use Chatroll, which it's not a plugin actually, it's like an embed code, so that's something else. What else do I use for the actual summit itself? That might be it. All the
speakers or the like the presentations have their own page, but like their video on there, you have the chat feature, so it's essentially like for people that have been in online summits before or like been in the audience of an online summit, it's essentially just like creating that video in that chat box that usually is in most of them, but on your own website instead of you being taken to another platform.
Yes, exactly. And Vimeo is what I use to host my videos, and that's something else you just embed straight into the website.
Vimeo is great.
It's really nice. And then if you do sell something through the summit, which I very highly recommend, that adds a few more layers. Like you'll want things like WooCommerce. You'll probably want like a membership type plugin. I use LearnDash. And then Deadline Funnel is really great for limited time offers and price increases and stuff like that.
Oh, sneaky. Okay, so I will go ahead and link to all of those if you guys kind of want to like click on those, maybe look around to see what they offer, see how you can take advantage of them, especially if you're just thinking about this idea and letting it marinate with you for a little bit. So if you could do your summit, well, I mean, you kind of do your summits all over again, like every year. Is there something that you do different, like for the past summit, that maybe you didn't do in the first summit, or something that you learned from the first summit that you were like, can't do that again?
Yes, actually. So one of the things I did is, like we talked about earlier, I never want to be like super marketing heavy. And I don't think you need to be in a summit when you do it right. So the first time around, I started at a pretty low price point for what I was selling, and I offered it like really discounted for 15 minutes. Then it was at like a early bird price. Then I raised it up to like a price during the summit, and then I raised it again. That just felt gross. Like it felt like way too much, especially that last price increase. It just felt like overkill. Like it was getting to the point of, this is literally just bribery. I'm raising it for no reason. So for this last one, I did one last price increase, and that just made me feel better. And I was getting excellent results too. And then something else I did was, after that first one where I realized how important the engagement and the community factor is, I added a couple more things this time that helped me increase that. So I tried a live breakout session. So all my sessions are pre-recorded, but this last time I did one live session per day in the Facebook group. And I actually don't think I'll do it again, because I feel like there wasn't that much added engagement. I wanted to feed into like the live factor and get people excited. And I think it worked to an extent, but if you have the live chat, even in your pre-recorded presentations, it just kind of evens out. So that's something I try to do differently that I won't do again.
Okay. Yeah,
And
yeah, I totally love that perspective.
Yeah. And something else I added this time for engagement that I will do again is daily co-working sessions. And that was great because it was live with people and it was getting them taking action every day right away on that day's material. And it was really powerful.
Wow, that is something that I have never experienced in a summit that I have been an audience of. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And I know I was actually talking to somebody that just ran a summit not too long ago, and they were saying, and I don't know if this is true for you, I haven't seen it before in any like content online, so I didn't even think about it, but they said that there was a lot more views on like replays than there was in terms of live. Is that something like expectation wise that people should be aware of?
Oh, for sure. The most live interaction you're going to get is day one early in the day, and then it's going to just dwindle out throughout the week. And those replays are what matters after the fact, when people can, the excitement isn't enough to make them put off their client project or skip their lunch or whatever, but they will go tune in later kind of thing. So totally I always like consider it live for like the first hour when we're there in the chat box interacting. But after that it becomes more and more powerful the later you get in the week, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. And then as the host of the virtual summit, are you there live for each one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is another thing. It's like definitely for your summit, do not plan on launching and then like leaving town. Like you're definitely going to want to be there and be active in the chat box.
Yeah. I like position it to everything else in my life, I guess, is out of office. I have an email responder go up. I tell clients I'm out of the office for the week. I don't plan anything in my real life. It is all summit that week for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really awesome tip, I think, especially for like planning and seeing if this idea is right for you. It's like it really is time in order to get the right benefits and to do it in a way that you get the most out of it. And not just you, but like your community too, that you're essentially building.
Yes.
So how has focusing on virtual summits helped your business online? Like, how has it helped you grow? Did it open up any opportunities that like you didn't expect?
Yes. So I don't know. It was a year between my first summit and my next big one. I hosted another smaller one in between there, but it never stopped getting emails from either clients or potential collaborators being like, I found you through your summit last year or earlier this year. Can we, work together on this project or collaborate on this thing I'm doing?
You got yourself in front of people and literally like burrowed yourself into their brain.
For real. For
So
real.
you're just like making a little hole and just like hanging out until they realize that you're there.
Yeah. I didn't expect that. And like the relationships you make with your speakers who are freaking powerhouses in your industry, it literally just never stops paying off. And even if you're like just friends with those people casually, it's just so good to know them and have that in with them. And, it's easier to ask questions or advice or ask them to promote something you're doing. It's just like endless opportunities despite, or, on top of, I guess I should say, those immediate benefits like the income and the email list growth and the like immediate respect you're getting from everybody who's seeing this thing when you have put it together the right way. It's seriously never ending. I have not seen an end to it yet.
That's so awesome. That like it's like it doesn't really have a shelf life. Like we throw around the word like evergreen all the time. And like virtual summits, you think that like this event, everything's going to die down after.
Yeah.
But it's like because you put all the work into this, you're seen as an authority in your industry. And then these connections don't dwindle down. They're essentially evergreen, just like the difference or the impact that you've made with your audience.
Yeah, exactly. And when you do it for your audience and for a niche and with a specific topic, people just remember it. It sticks out to them that there was this big thing that helped with the problem they had, and they just don't forget it.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I'm super stoked that I'm learning about all of these benefits that like you don't really think about when like you first maybe even think about hosting a virtual summit or see somebody hosting a virtual summit, all these side benefits and after effect benefits. Random question that I just thought of. How many speakers do you think would be a good number for somebody?
First time, no more than 20.
Okay.
And I think the exact number is just going to depend on how much you want to deal with. I will say speakers are the hardest part. Selecting your speakers, the first time it might be a little easier to select your speakers, but managing them is hard. People who you think have everything together, you'll find out they don't, especially when your due dates roll around. So it just depends on how much you want to deal with, and then like how long you want your summit to be and how many hours per day you want to be on. So say you have 20 speakers, 4 days with 5 speakers a day, 5 days with 4 a day, or 5 days with 4 speakers. Okay, that was right.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I'm saying day too many times. But like the number below that, if you go lower than 20, that's just up to you. But I would not recommend going more than 20.
So 20 max for sure.
Yeah, I did 27 my last one, and it was fine because I had all those processes. I knew how to deal with people.
You're a systems and organizational person. So 27 to you, it's like a nice juggle.
Yeah, right. It was fine. But yeah, 20 is a good number.
Okay, awesome. So social media, we all know that is like a huge part of growing a business. Can you highlight one thing that you do on maybe your favorite social media platform that really helped you either grow your summit or helps grow your business in combination with the summits?
Yeah, I feel like this isn't like going to be an awesome answer, but it's definitely Instagram, specifically Instagram stories.
Okay.
Just like using it and being casual about it. All I do on Instagram stories is like give behind the scenes of like what I'm working on that day, or I'll show cute videos of my daughter being crazy, or every once in a while I'll jump on and like talk about my blog post for that week. But it gets so much, I don't know, the connections are so much more powerful and genuine. I can post something on Facebook and get no comments, but I post it on Instagram and all of a sudden have 10 DMs and people sharing it and all this stuff. It's just so much more powerful and genuine, and there's so much direct engagement. And I think being consistent and active and just like kind of transparent on there has just made me so many strong relationships. It's paid itself. I don't know. It's given me more return than any other social media platform for sure.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I've had, I actually had some of the interviews so far have really focused on Pinterest.
Really?
So I'm glad that you're talking about Instagram stories, because I see, from being on Instagram probably too often than I should be. Yeah. I see people taking advantage of Instagram stories and like the different ways that you can. And, I think it's just really important to remind people that like, you don't have to be perfectly polished in order to hop on an Instagram story or to post something, even to give like a behind the scenes, pull the curtain back on what you're working with. Like people like that. That's the whole reason why they connect with you on social media to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know, it's just so different from any other platform. I think it just sticks out to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if like your industry and your audience is on the platform.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
Okay. So if you could, I know that we went through like a whole lot of tips and information, and I think that this is really awesome. But if you could give one actionable tip about hosting a virtual summit or somebody even thinking about it, what would it be?
Map out your process. Don't decide you're going to host a summit and wing it. Map out what your goals are, what you want it to look like for yourself and for your speakers and for your attendees from all these different standpoints, and map out what you're going to need to do to make each of those things happen. I have resources that make all that easier, but you can also stock other summits that are going on, whether you're a speaker or an attendee.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead and be an attendee in some of these summits and see what you like, see what you don't like about them, and just like start brainstorming and taking notes.
Yeah, it's seriously, that's the way I learned a lot of it. And I still do. If I see a summit going on, it looks like a good one, I'll sign up for that, screenshot the sales page, totally stock everything.
I'm glad that you just admitted to screenshotting sales pages, because sure. I have a full folder on my Google Drive that if my entire computer crashes, I can't lose these sales pages that I've screenshotted, because some of them, they knock it out of the park. And it's not like we're copying or anything like that, but some people just do things in a unique way that you're like, whoa, that's awesome. So screenshot that. I'll even link to a screenshot tool, Google Chrome extension that I use in the description. It's mad easy. Definitely do that to keep your ideas kind of like in one place.
Yes.
That's awesome. So yeah, that's really important, I think, is mapping out, especially like I'm like running through in my head. Like if I were to do it, if I were to take the step forward, like what would I have to do at first? And definitely planning would be something that I would have to force myself to do because it doesn't come second nature to me.
Yeah, and it's like not something you can sit down and plan at once because it's going to be something you do that, but then you're like driving in your car 3 days later and you're like, oh, I have to do this thing too, and then you like go and tweak it. So it's like a big fun process. Fun. I say fun because I'm a nerd, but it's a fun thing to put together.
So it's like definitely give yourself enough time. Give yourself enough time to marinate with the idea a little bit before you even start getting into like the rigid planning process and things like that. Like just start writing some things out, maybe keep your notebook out for a week, give yourself that full week to just like let it marinate.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. I think that's a really, really good tip. Okay, so do you have any other resources that maybe we didn't talk about so far for people watching, maybe to get started with even thinking about it?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a whole bunch of free content on, all kinds of different topics, but I have like a category specific for basics. That is a great place for people if they want to just kind of explore the idea, learn more about what it is. I think we've talked a lot about how it can benefit them better than I have in any of the content I've written, so thanks for that. I also have like a timeline people can grab where I outline how long it should take, and I even calculate due dates for big tasks based on the date you want to launch your summit. It's pretty nerdy and awesome. And I have
that sounds like everything I've ever needed in my life.
I wish I like would have made it for my first summit because I love it now. I use it myself. So
okay, yeah, awesome. I will definitely link to your blog all together, and then definitely that resource separately because I think that's going to be really, really helpful for people. Now the last and probably most important question is, where can people find you online and connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm over at summitinabox.co and on Instagram at summitinabox.
Awesome. So I will go ahead and link to those in the blog post below. So Krista, I just want to thank you for being a guest on the Work the Web interview series. I think that we went over literally like an insane amount of helpful information for people that are curious about utilizing the power of virtual summits to not only grow their business, but to maybe grow their authority, to get more visibility. Like I could run down all of the benefits that we went through, but I think that all of this information is really helpful for somebody that's, not sure if this is maybe the right fit for them.
Oh, for sure.
And if you guys watching, make sure that you check out the other interviews in this Work the Web series. I've talked to a lot of really helpful online business owners, just like Krista, and they gave some insanely valuable tips on what they focused on to help them grow their business in ways that work for them. So, if maybe this wasn't your jam, there are so many other options that you can focus on. So yeah, check out those interviews too. And then as always, if you enjoyed the video, just give it a really quick thumbs up for me. And then if you have any questions for me or for Krista, go ahead and comment them right below the video or in the blog post comments. But yeah, that's it for this interview. And I think that it went really well.
I'm so glad you asked me to be a part of this. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So, reach out to us, guys. We'd love to connect with you. And if you have any questions, just let us know. All right, bye.
Bye.